So when is altcoin season finally going to take off? I know by now you're sick and tired of hearing content creators tell you that it's this date. That date comes up and they kick the can down the road a few more months, and then same thing happens. It's a cycle. Well, there's something I think a lot of people are missing that is a linchpin to all this coming together. It cannot take off until this happens. And then also, it's much bigger than just crypto. It's a bigger plan at stake that you need to be aware of so you don't keep on expecting a altcoin season to come up when there's a lot of pieces still missing to the puzzle for this to happen. If you want to learn more about this, stick around to find out more. Okay, so when can we expect altcoin season to finally get here? Like I said, there are some things that are still missing that I think are very crucial to hit before this comes up. With the fear and greed sitting at 16, 17%, then we have Bitcoin sitting around 91,000, Ethereum around 3,000. The whole crypto market cap as a whole is sitting at $3.12 trillion. That is $1 trillion lost in the market within a month and a half time frame. We have XRP flirting around the $2.12 range to $2.20. And I know everybody is frustrated out there. And I know you hear the same thing that, hey, altcoin season's around the corner. It's here. No, it's not. It's here. No, it's not. But there's a bigger piece to this puzzle that I think people need to understand. This crypto adoption is not happening by happenstance. It is a global adoption that is taking place simultaneously around the world. There are certain triggers that need to take place before we can see that true adoption hit. And this is that true adoption we're expecting to happen soon that will launch the crypto market into massive numbers that everybody's sticking around for. But let's talk about the news stories that are going to happen, that have happened, and what we're waiting for to happen that is going to really trigger this altcoin season. And again, this is all in my perspective and my belief. This is never financial advice. Always do your own research. I do leave all of my resources down in my description below so you can go through it yourself and validate what I'm saying. Either I'm right or I'm wrong, whatever. As long as you're doing your own research, that's what's important to me. So let's go ahead and move on to these news stories. We're going to cover something from the OCC. We're going to hear about the Clarity Act, and then also certain things that our administration is doing to get ready for 2026, which is another piece of this puzzle that we are missing before we see this true adoption. So don't go anywhere. Let's hang out and let's talk about these stories. Let's start with this first story. This is from Eleanor Tourette. If you don't know her, definitely look her up from Crypto in America. She's phenomenal. A lot of great resources. She has update. The Senate Ag Committee will vote on Mike's nomination tomorrow following the hearing this afternoon. If he advances out of committee as expected, his nomination will move to the Senate floor for four votes. So what's going on with this is there is a new CFTC chairman getting put into place. This is another major piece of that puzzle that we're missing because, as you know, we are expecting to have the CFTC oversee digital assets as far as the commodity goes, and the SEC will be removed from that process. We can also see things like the OCC giving banks the green light to start holding digital assets. So check out this story from the OCC directly from their X account. It shows that the OCC confirmed permissible banks activities related to paying crypto asset network fees, sometimes referred as gas fees. It says the OCC confirms bank authority to hold crypto assets as a principal for purpose of paying crypto asset network fees. So why is this story big? We have the OCC. They are the Office of the Control of Currency that oversees these rules and regulations when it comes to currency, okay? So this is another big piece of the puzzle. Banks are still kind of wishy-washy about holding certain digital assets because they're just as confused as everybody else, and they don't want to get in trouble. Now we have the OCC telling you, hey, we're good with you holding digital assets to pay for network fees. That means we're a step closer into the adoption that we're waiting for. That is one piece of the puzzle that has been missing. Also keep in mind, I know I have a lot of Ripple XRP fans here. OCC is the person that's going to approve the bank license for Ripple. So now that they're allowing that banks to hold digital assets, think about what else they can now approve now that this rule is into place. Do you see how this is a perfectly timeline unfolding? Let's keep unfolding this timeline so you have a better idea of what's going on. So also let's talk about the Clarity Act. This is the piece of the puzzle we definitely need. This is the main piece of the puzzle. So if you're expecting altcoin season to take off, and I could be wrong here, so this is not financial advice, it's just my belief that you're not going to have major institutions and money flood into the market until they have the Clarity Act signed. So what is that timeline and how does that look? Well, look on your screen here. This is from congress.gov. This is the Digital Asset Market Clarity Act, or simply Clarity Act, that you might be hearing. You'll see that it was introduced, which it passed in the House, and now it has to go to the Senate, then the president, to become law. So we have to understand that there's still a process to take place. Yes, it passed the House. It has to go to the Senate. It has to go to the president, and then it has to go to the become the law, right? And we're going to keep on touching on that because there's another step beyond it becoming law that also has to take place. So keep this in mind as well. But keep in mind this timeline is very interesting. When you start to put it all together, let's understand this timeline and how that looks and how this plan is really unfolding right in front of us. So this is another post from Eleanor Tourette. I'm going to use her just because she has great sources, easy to find, and I think it's a great source for you guys to follow if you haven't done so yet. So from her, we have a stacked Crypto America newsletter today. So we have Senate vote on crypto market structure slated for early 2026. That is the same thing as the Clarity Act. So the Clarity Act is expected to be voted on early 2026. New Hampshire issues first BTC-backed bond. Bank regulators are rolling out the crypto clarity. Bitwise talks ETFs, staking, and more. What I'm pointing out about this piece of it is that the Clarity Act is expected to be voted on in early January 2026. Now, understand there's still another timeline. Just because it gets voted on, we need to make sure it actually passes. It could have a bunch of kickbacks and amendments and changes. So just because it's happening in early January 2026, it doesn't mean that it's going to be passed at that time frame. So that's important for you to understand as well, okay? But what else needs to take place after the president signs it, after it becomes law? Again, take a look on your screen here. So there's a regulatory implementation timeline. Upon enactment, once enacted, the Clarity Act would direct the CFTC and SEC to issue rules within 270 days to implement the new regulatory framework for digital assets. So now we have, once we get it passed into law, there's the 270-day window. This is a variable that a lot of people aren't paying attention to, but there is a 270-day window from that being passed for the CFTC and the SEC to set the new regulatory framework and put it into place. That's 270 days. That could be the day after they have it signed, or they could sign it on the 270th day. We don't really know. So how we're looking at this is we have the CFTC new chairman getting put into place. We have banks getting the green light to start holding digital assets. We're starting to see more and more ETFs, more investments into crypto. Do you see the snowball finally rolling downhill? But beyond the Clarity Act, there's something else that is going on that we need to be paying attention to. So what is that? Before we do that, I need to stop and say, though, thank you to everybody that watches this channel, supports this channel. You made it now 8 minutes in. If you like anything in this video, please hit that like button, share, comment, subscribe, all those things. But more importantly, hit that like button and leave a comment if you have been following my channel for a while, or even if you're new, really. Understand that I do cover crypto projects, then I also cover this side of the market as well. So I try to bring the two together. If you like that about these videos, be sure to hit the like button when I talk about the government policies, when I talk about what's happening in our administration, anything that's not directly related to a crypto project specifically. Make sure you hit that like button if you like that information, because when I do these type of videos right here, they don't perform as well as the other ones where I do a deeper dive into crypto projects. So super important if you could hit that like button if you do like this information, so I know that the community does enjoy this. All right, let's get back into it. So what else is missing? As we roll into 2026, this is a crucial time for politicians and presidents and things like that, because keep in mind, next year we're rolling into midterm elections. So this is a big factor as well. I don't think it's any coincidence that we are seeing the Clarity Act to be pushed into January of 2026. And on top of that, we really are probably looking around February, March before that actually gets taken into adoption. Then again, keep in mind, we have that 270-day window for the CFTC and SEC. So we're looking around February, March, I believe, could be way off, but I believe we are going to see the Clarity Act become law February, March timeframe. On top of that, we are moving into midterm elections for president, Congress, Senate, statewide, nationwide. Every politician are going to be on their toes to make themselves look good, act like they're working for you. This is the hardest they ever work in their whole career, is midterm times, building up to that. So right now they are all freaking out trying to make themselves look good. That's why you're starting to see more and more political turmoil, people, rage in the streets, all these things as a distraction to keep you from really paying attention to what's happening behind the scenes, which is our global economy is crashing and our financial infrastructure is being reset right in real time. And most people are following which files are being released, which they should, but it's not the biggest story right now because they could have released those files years ago. This is a piece of leverage I think both sides of the aisle are using for leverage. Get off that soapbox. But let's look at the election time frame. We have November 3rd is the election day for the president, but between March and November of 2026, we have politicians being reelected or getting the boot and getting replaced. So you're going to need to have a strong economy. You need to have strong policy in place. You need the country to thrive if you're the person in power now trying to get reelected, is what I'm getting at. And we're rolling into a time frame where we are seeing the global economy collapsing. We're seeing people lose faith in our governments around the world. They need to bring back a trusting government and have people believe in the government again. And what a perfect way to do that by having very prosperous 2026 where money is flowing and money is just everywhere and things are feeling good and great again. I think that's what they're waiting for. I think there's a certain timeline in place. We need the Clarity Act to hit. Once the Clarity Act hits, then the banks can switch over to the crypto and they can start really flooding in these crypto assets. The prices of these assets will change. They will bring down the balance books or raise the balance books depending on what they need. If we need to kill the national debt, this is a great way to bring down the national debt. Our administration has said it themselves. They want to be the crypto capital of the world. And by doing so, we are going to see them adopt crypto, switch that price on it, and bring the national debt down. Sorry, I went blank right there. But also something else that was happening during while everybody's talking about these files being released the last couple of days. Do you know that the Saudi prince of Saudi Arabia was here in town to meet with the president? So this story, I'm sure, is big enough. A lot of people have heard about it, but just in case you haven't, I'm going to explain what this deal was and why he was here and why this is such an important deal. So this is actually from the White House themselves. We knew that Trump right here, you'll see that Trump agreement bill directly on the President Trump's highly successful May visit to, I can't say that name, so I'm not going to try to, and the $600 billion in Saudi investment commitments secured for the United States at that time. And let's read down more. We're talking about the new investment in a new major expansion of this partnership. The Crown Prince announced today that Saudi Arabia will be increasing their investment commitments in the United States to almost $1 trillion, reflecting deepening trust and momentum for the United States under President's leadership. So essentially, Saudi Arabia is pledging $1 trillion investment. And we also have that coming from Apple. Apple's dumping a lot of money into the market. America is going to start creating again and really providing liquidity in the market. And that's happening at the time that we're seeing the Fed cut rates. Jerome Powell might be getting the boot and getting replaced. All these things are happening at a perfect time. And the Saudi Arabia agreement, essentially, the biggest piece that's relative to what we're talking about is they're investing in AI infrastructure and our economy. So we have a bunch of money about to hit this market. We have the Fed easing rates. We have the CFTC chairman getting replaced. We have the Clarity Act coming into place. We have finally the election midterms coming up for Senate, Congress, President, all the way up. So you're about to see some crazy times. And I think around March, February is when that altcoin season will be here. I could be way off because we could see it in November 2026 based on all the information I just gave you. So, but you let me know down in the comments, what do you think about it? And when do you think that we will see altcoin season finally arrive? But hey, before I let you go, as always, take care of yourself, take care of the people around you, and become the change you want to see. I'll see you on the next one.